This is the Franchise Basketball Insider, presented by Massengale Eye Care, Oklahoma City's leading eye care provider since 1989. Call 631-2020.
Greetings, Thunder fans. Oklahoma City got in another practice here at the Integris Development Center in preparation for Friday's game against the San Antonio Spurs. On this Franchise Basketball Insider, we hear from head coach Billy Donovan.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to play Russell, Kevin, many of those guys, as we see fit. Obviously, he does as hard as he plays. There are times where he needs breaks. He just does, and I think for him, the way we've rotated him, I think he feels really good and comfortable with that. But I'm not opposed or apprehensive at all about putting him in a little bit earlier if we need to, on some of those rests. I just want to make sure for the extended minutes that he does play, he plays with such a motor and such intensity and passion. You don't want fatigue to be in a situation, where he's not playing at that intensity level that he normally plays at. So, there's a balance. He's got to get some rest in the game as well.
Aldridge goes 15 for 21 in game 2. Rest of the Spurs go 25 for 73. Do you take some pride in that, and is that what you guys are going to have to do going forward to kind of keep these guys with you? I mean,
listen, they're a really, really good team. They are really, really a hard team to guard offensively. They've got a high basketball IQ and a high skill level, and they pass the ball very well. And our guys have done a good job, I think, trying to defend Aldridge as best we can. There's probably some plays, like every game, that we probably could have done a better job on him. And then there's some times where we've done a pretty good job and he's made really, really difficult shots. And I think Aldridge has always been a guy in this league that can score. And he can score from a lot of different areas on the floor. And I think the way he's played in the first 2 games has been terrific. He's played exceptionally well. But also I think there's times where, because I think he is a good passer, you've got to be careful when and where your help comes from. And that's not to sit there and say every possession you want to put your front court players out on an island. But when you do come for help, you've got to be really, you got to understand when is the right time to help.
What contributed to Kevin finding a little bit better rhythm shooting the ball in game 2? And what do you think you can take from that going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of confidence in Kevin when he gets the ball in areas of the floor. I mean, like I've said all the time with Kevin, is Kevin's really been unselfish, and what you want to try to do around Kevin is try to create spacing for him where if people do come to help, there are guys he can pass and make decisions on. I thought he did a really good job in the game late. He found Andre one time in the corner. He made a couple other passes where the ball got kicked out and rotated, which was great. But at the same point, I think Kevin's, one of the greatest scorers in this league. So when he catches the ball in certain areas of the floor, I've always have great deal of confidence in him that he's going to generate, manufacture something good. Now, it doesn't always go in, but I thought Kevin, really played a very, very good game on the offensive end of the floor, both with his decision making and had a couple steals from behind where we probably need a little more mindful of that. But overall, I thought he made good decisions. I thought he attacked the basket. I thought he took pull-up mid-range jump shots. I thought he got the ball in good spots for himself to score.
Would you rather the games be more like the regular season where you don't have 3 days off in between, or do you like the extra time to prepare?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't have any control over that, so I just try to utilize the time as we've had the last 3 days to try to get better, to try to improve. I try to always just to look at it like it's another day for us to prepare, another day for us to get better, another day for us to focus on the areas we got to get better at.
The numbers say you scored really efficiently on isolation possessions. Is there, with the Spurs defense being as high as it is, are there times when, despite ball movement kind of being this objectively good thing, it might be better just to trust the guys to go out and make a play?
Well, listen, we've got 2 really, really good players that can play in isolation situations, and so does San Antonio. I mean, you think about the amount of times LaMarcus Aldridge has been isolated. I mean, they throw the ball into him, and they're waiting to see where help's coming from, if it is coming, and he's going to generate and make a play. Do the same thing with Kawhi Leonard. I think when you have players like that, you've got to give those guys opportunity in space to create and make things happen. I think the biggest thing with those guys, and I said this from day one with Kevin and Russell, I don't care how great of a scorer you are not a great scorer without space. And you've got to have space. And obviously, the space that gets created is really dictated and determined by what the defense decides to do. If the defense decides to take away the space, they're going to run and bring help into certain pockets and areas of the floor. Then we got to make decisions to get the ball out, and we got to get it moving. But I do think getting the ball to players in specific areas of the floor where they're effective is always a good thing. I'm not saying you do it all the time, but I think you have to have part of that in your game. And certainly Aldridge has done it at a really high level.
Billy, you guys got a hand in Aldridge's face on a bunch of those shots out of the post, but a lot of those times he was rolling over the right shoulder and using either hand. Is there a different way, or maybe a potentially more effective way to contest those shots, even if you are actually in a space already?
Well, the first thing is you don't want to foul him. That's the first thing. And the other thing, too, is give him credit. I think he's gotten much, much better as his career has gone on, that when you do take away the middle of the floor in his strong hand, he's able to come back and finish with his left hand. And he's drop-stepped a few times. He's made a couple lefty tough jump hooks. Those are tough shots. That's when you're a right-handed player and you're being forced away from your strong hand and you get your back to the basket and you're turning and making that shot, that's not an easy shot. I mean, that's a hard shot, so give him credit. But the biggest thing for us is we've got to just try to make it as hard as we can. I think we've got to double-team him, in the right situations. And try to keep him off balance a little bit. But again, like I said earlier, there's you've got Patty Mills out there, you got Kawhi Leonard out there, you got Danny Green out there. I mean, you can run down there and start taking him away, and then all of a sudden it's open up threes, drives, a lot of other things. So you really have got to make good decisions of where your help's coming from and when it's coming from him. And certainly we don't want to give him easy baskets, but he's played great. You get to give him credit, and he's had some plays that he's generated easy baskets for himself, and he's had some plays where he's really made some tough shots.
All right, thanks for watching this edition of the Franchise Basketball Insider. Be sure to check our website for the Thursday interviews with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Thanks for listening to Oklahoma's New Sound for Sports, 107.7 The Franchise in Oklahoma City and 107.9 in Tulsa.